Go ahead.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for the opportunity to meet together as a class. Father, we ask that we might be guided by the Spirit to be able to discuss the things of this case and be able to answer the questions in time and manner. Father, we also ask you that we might be able to receive that inspiration to be able to learn from this course and from each other. And these things we ask you, Father, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I guess we're supposed to tell each other, we're supposed to spout out our names so he knows who actually is attending. That's what the message came by, I think. Isn't that, did anybody else read that?
Yeah.
So we'll just go. Joe.
I'm Austin Jacobs.
Then I'm Austin Robinson.
And I'm Tanner.
All right. We got that all cleared up. Let's go ahead and dive into the questions. Let me just pull it up. Actually, have it already on a Word document so I can type it out and get it going.
Sweet.
All right, because I want to make sure Indiana gets to bed. All right. Okay, what should his? I mean, it goes in. I think this is talking about. It says, what should his actions plan be for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, and what's his priorities be? And this is in regards to. Hold on. This Jim Sharp. What do you guys think his priorities should be? I mean, what should he do in the next 6 months, the next 12, and what should his priorities be?
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the instructions.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Hey, give me 1 second here.
Oh, I put that as one of his major priorities should be to change company culture.
Click on that.
And kind of like just letting the employees maybe know, like even though they might be doing some of the same jobs, that it's an entirely new company because he's going to be implementing, different policies, doing things differently. If he sets that ground rule first, or like not even a rule, just like that kind of tone, then it'll be easier to implement big changes that need to happen in order for the company to be successful. And then as he sets that too, I put that he can listen to the employees of what they think needs changed. Getting feedback almost from his like direct customers, which are his employees, and then he'll be able to progress the company in a more efficient way.
I think one thing I also put the culture thing, to change the culture. And I think one way to do that is, I like what Austin said about listen to employees, because Jim comes into this company, right? He takes ownership, and if he just starts changing a bunch of things right off the get-go, it's going to be hard for all the employees to take that. But if he really takes time to build a rapport, build a friendship and relationship with these people, understand what's going wrong, and then he can make changes slowly. But I think he needs to really just come in with the attitude to get to know the company, how it works, who the people are, and then he can make those changes once he gets that relationship down.
Yeah, I put essentially the same thing. Just keep the company running as it is for now. Develop those relationships. Make sure you're on good terms with everyone. I also mentioned the original owner had said to get rid of the union, and it sounds like that would be a good idea. So, over a period of time, get rid of them as well.
So in this 6 months, this is what I says needs to change the culture. He should be listening to the employees. He should be humble and be able to, and through that, he should be able to create a strong relationship dynamics. And then in the 6 months, should we put dissolving the union?
It's going to take longer than that, probably.
But to get it started, so should he get it going from the get-go, or should he get the team rallying behind, and then after the 6 month mark, and then going on to the 12, to the 12 months, that's when he should start working on it, or should he start implementing it in the first 6 months?
I think he should get the team rallying behind him first before he starts working on the union.
Okay. Yeah, because I liked what in the case study it did talk about a few employees actually making mention that they would rather not have the have the union. It wasn't fitting well for the dynamics of the company. So, so let's just. What do you think in more specifics? If they do absolve the union, I mean, I've never worked for a union, so I'm not. I only can understand that unions. There's not much. There's not much in creativities on creating employee matrix to which people can advance. And is that about right? Like you go by seniority and that's how you advance, or do people in unions, are they able to push through and make it through the top through hard work and doing their due diligence? Or is it
More than not, because I deal with unions all the time in the automotive industry, especially out here in the Mideast.
Okay.
They're all like Ford, GM, they all use unions. But what it is the union just allows the employees to be protected in like a factory-based setting, or like other types of settings where a work environment could be not so good. So they're protected in that sense. And then another one is that they're required or contracted to hire a certain amount and have a certain amount of hours and get paid a certain amount. So it's like protecting their benefits essentially. But the problem is a lot of times once somebody enters into a union, they're there for life and they're going to retire as a union worker. They don't usually leave and then become like senior management. They might become supervisors within the union, but union and business management is almost completely separate. And it's not like they work against each other, but in failing companies or companies that don't have it figured out, it almost seems like the union and the management team work against each other, because the people with the degrees can do so much, like the engineers will design something, but then the union workers are contracted that they have to do the ones with like hands-on labor. For example, a welding engineer will design something, but he can't actually weld it. You have to have a union worker go and weld it, and it almost creates issues. But that's what I've seen.
So okay, I didn't know that. So so management is not part of the union. It's
No.
more for the blue collar.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
I guess I missed that in Union 101. Yeah, I'm my closest association was my brother who worked for Boeing, and he was an engineer, and he had to be part of a union.
Well, they can have unions for certain things, but usually when you're talking like a union in that sense, they're talking about the blue collar workers.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But you can have organizations to protect any group of employees, essentially.
Yeah, I guess so. Because they have the teachers unions.
Right. Exactly.
So, all right. So unions are basically I apologize for breaking up the conversation and stuff like that. But unions are basically almost sublets of each other in the company. So you have like the management, and then you can have, even like in a big company, you have like a welding union, and then maybe another union within or can you have multiple unions?
I'm sure you can, but a lot of times you'll just see like they're just union workers, but they're protected under the same. It's like one big union, because they'll have like policies within that union, and all the employees will have different jobs, but they'll all be protected within those benefits or those policies.
All right.
So, and so they'll get to a certain point or pay scale. It's almost like a G, like a G index pay scale for like the military or like government employees, and they'll like work their way to certain levels, and they know what they'll be making within 8 years or whatever, but they're going to stay within the union usually.
Okay. All right, so I just put in the 12 months working on absolving the union and to create a new system of employee matrix advancement. What else do you think within the 12 months should he be working on?
I think that also I put that he should cut expenses. He had a lot of operating expenses. It wasn't as efficient. Plus, he had a lot of wear on his equipment. So I think we're putting things a little different than I put, but he could cut costs, but then also maybe within 6 months or like 12 months, but then later, once he's cut those costs, then he can start improving on his equipment and facility.
So in the 6 months, should we be putting the cutting costs on things, or should we put that in the 12 months?
I think the most important thing, like we already discussed, is culture in 6 months. In 12
Okay.
months, you might be able to cut costs. What do you guys think?
Okay.
I think part of the 6 months probably is also getting a better accounting system down. Sounds like they don't even know what they're making, and so that's a big deal.
That's what I put too in this first 6 months is use up. It looked like they have a lot of inventory, using the inventory and getting the orders out because it looked like they were backlog, on orders and just getting simply getting the what's the words out, getting the orders out. It seems like they just weren't doing it fast enough.
Right.
Hold on, using inventory.
I agree with that.
Yeah. In my response to that, I put kind of what Austin said, but I said use the inventory in that first 6 months, like cut costs, improve efficiency in those first 6 months while building those relationships, and then in the later months, then you can work on improving your equipment.
So
So,
should I put cutting costs in the 6 months or the 12 months?
I'm good either way. It's just that's what I put in mind.
I think it's almost hand in hand as you're using the inventory to make the money is also cutting costs. Is now to refine it could be differently, but I think just getting it started, getting the system started is what you should do in the first 6 months, and then in the next 12 is coming up with like he can come up with a what's the words I want to say, like a come on, like lean practices or Six Sigma or any of those improvement.
Like lean manufacturing.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's only 8:20 here, and I'm probably worse off than all you guys, and you're thinking right now. So
That's honestly all I was talking about today at my new job. So it's like fresh in my mind still. It's like I'm bleeding out supply chain terms.
okay, good. Perfect then. All right. And cost, inventory. Okay, and then I'm going to say in the next 12 months, apply lean manufacturing and Six Sigma, all that. I'll refine this. Believe me, I'm not going to, this is not it. I'm just trying to keep it easy and I'll write it up better for you guys later.
All right, good.
Then the last 12, anything else in the 12 months?
What do you got already?
Okay, so working on absolving the union and to create a new system of employee matrix advancement, applying lean manufacturing and Six Sigma, and and other manufacturing efficiencies. But that's all I got. And then back in the 6 month, I added using inventory to start making money and cutting costs.
I think that's good.
Okay, that's probably good enough for the first 12 months. I'll explain these in more detail. The next question, then we're going to go on to the next question. Did Jim make the right acquisition? Explain.
I think so. I thought he did.
Well, I would agree on multiple levels. If I could put my 2 bits in first, I love the fact that he used seller financing. That's awesome. It means that if everything goes down the pot, he's out. He doesn't have any real money, and he can have the company. The person has the company back. Granted, there was some stringent ropes that he had to keep, but I mean, he only put $100,000 into the company, and all of a sudden done was $2 million deal, and in 6 years he raised his he turned his $2 million into 89 million. I mean, 89 rose it by 89% more, so not too shabby.
Pretty good.
I mean, at least from a fledgling business, it sounds like he made some vast improvements.
I'd be curious to know what he did. Like, it kind of ends right as right as he's acquiring the company. I'd be curious to know what his first steps were in improving the company.
I actually tried to look this company up. I couldn't find anything.
I did too.
I wonder if he sold the company.
I saw that he sold it. I think it was back in like 2009 or something
Mhm.
like that.
Uh-huh.
It probably went under another name change. I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah. Because it'd be interesting to see how much money he got out of the sale of it. So are we all in agreement? We think it's the right acquisition?
Yeah, I've already talked a lot, but yeah, I completely agree. Basically, the same things you guys said.
All right. And other than what I explained, has anybody got any further? Add?
I just think like what you said. He did his research too. Like he's done. He wouldn't put that much on the line without researching it thoroughly and coming up with processes of how to improve and what he needs to do before he actually acquired. And then it fit his personality, it fit all of his strengths, and fit what he was going for. So for Jim and his perspective, yes, I think it was the right acquisition.
Was there a lot of things he didn't know before? I mean, it did say that he couldn't talk to employees or customers until he owned the business, right?
And he didn't even get to see the books. That's really scary.
I thought that was super weird, actually. I thought that was kind of shady.
You know, I think he kind of went on a limb in a lot of ways there because he didn't talk to employees, because he couldn't talk about, you know, a lot of things. But I think it actually turned out well. I think I wrote in my description that like he took on a big risk by not knowing those things, but actually it turned out well. So I mean, it was in his favor. But I think he did a good job though at like you guys said. I mean, I think he researched it. It said that a lot of people weren't that happy with the customer service, but I think he has the skills, like Austin was talking about, to go in and make it happen. So I think it turned out really good.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else anybody want to add to that one? Otherwise, we'll go on to the next question. Okay. All right. Next question, we're going into Brentwood. And how much is Zoe's worth under each exit option? Discuss with each other how you got your answers as a group. Come up with a consensus as to what Zoe's is worth. Well, to tell you the truth, this is where I stumbled because all I could find was in that case study was some formulas, and based off the formulas, it looked like you needed to figure those questions out, and they had no balance sheet. So I must have missed something because I couldn't figure out what it was worth. I could figure that he should definitely be putting it under value because 70% of the company, 70% of IPOs are under would undervalue by 15%. So that's all I could give in advice. But did anybody come up with actual figures?
I had to leave the case on that one.
I did.
Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say I found the value per share and then just times it by the number of shares that it said in the case that they sold, and I came up with 87.45 million. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's the number I got.
Which one's that for?
That's for. Isn't this for Zoe's Kitchen?
Yeah, Brentwood.
No, well, yeah, but
IPO, strategic investor, or financial buyer.
Exactly. Which one was that?
Oh, sorry.
It must have been strategic.
Yeah, strategic buyer.
Okay. Because I had 88 for strategic.
So that's pretty close to you then.
Mm-hmm.
88. So 88 what?
Sorry, you just cut out. What'd you say?
So what did you say? You had 88 what?
For strategic. 88 million for the strategic buyout.
Gotcha.
And then trying to find out what it did. I did something like that too. I just took the times, like the multiplication factor by like the price, basically. And so I got for public, I got like 231 million. For strategic, I got 88 million. And financial, I got 143 million. I have no idea how correct those are, but
So 143 million for public and 88 for strategic?
Nope. 231 for public.
Hold on. Right. Let me just put this down. 231 for public.
88 for strategic or strategy. And 143 for financial.
I got mine backwards. Maybe I put the wrong thing down, but I had for financial 88 million and strategic 143 million.
Oh, well, I could have done that as well. I'm glad we have the same numbers though.
Yeah.
Financial is 88. Okay.
Then I took out the bank fees and stuff. Yeah, but anyways, we're right on.
I wonder if I did do that backwards.
I'm sorry, 134.
No, 143 million.
Okay, for strategic. Okay. All right. So I totally bombed that one. So
It's all right.
All right. So how much is EXL? Should discuss how you got your answer. So you guys, so basically you got your answers from looking at this strategy, from the formulas, from which formulas from the actual which case study did you get all this?
I can't remember what exhibit it was. Have to look it up.
Page 9 and 5.
9 and 5.
No, page 9, paragraph like 5 or 4 or whatever is kind of like on those numbers.
All right. So page 9.
I think if I wrote that down right, my notes here. I guess it depends how our laptops broke up the case too.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
All right. So you got it. Okay. So I'm just going to say, got it from formulas. It's formulated in the case study. And the figures, though, came from the exhibits, right?
Did you pull it from the paragraph, your numbers, Austin?
You know, I was looking, trying to think. I wonder if I got my cases mixed up here because I looked at a lot of the exhibits too and trying to remember which case was what.
I thought it was exhibit number 2 on page 11.
That's where I was just looking.
But
Or exhibit 3.
I know. I did the assignments on Wednesday or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, there it is. Yeah, exhibit 2 there. Yep.
Okay, so page 11, exhibit 2.
Yep.
All right. So, all right. So I apologize. I see exhibit. I'm sorry. Where on exhibit 2?
Page 11, exhibit 2.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. What numbers are you? I mean, I see these, but how are you coming up with your numbers? So I look at these and I'm like, I just see numbers of other companies.
Sorry, I didn't even read it. My eyes aren't even working. Oh yeah, that's not it. Let's see where.
Oh, I think it was exhibit
Sadly.
7.
What?
I think it was
No,
7.
that isn't it.
That's not it.
Not 7?
No,
No.
2 is it.
I wasn't looking at it. Is it 8?
Exhibit 7 talks about its figures for Zoe's and doing comparables from with noodles and Chewy's or whatever it is.
Right.
That's the only thing I could find when it came to, and then talked about the EBITDA was also part of the formula which I could find, but and I don't know how else to come about this. So
So I think I got most of my answers in these. Like, so on page 9 is right in there. So the investors were eight times, and then it's right there. Financial and sponsor investors were 8x. So this financial. So on page 9, the very last paragraph on mine, it has 8x, 13x, and 21x. Those.
Oh yes, that's it. That is it. I'm like, what? Where did I pull this?
Yeah,
That
okay.
is it. Gosh.
There it is. So in page 9, the last paragraph.
Okay. All right. That would make sense. Okay. That would be, and then you look at the EBITDA, whatever, however the acronym is. Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. I can write that up. All right. That makes a whole lot more sense. It was a lot harder than I was making it out to be. Okay. What difference did you observe in the valuation based on who buys the company? Does this make any sense? Discuss as a group.
So read that again, will you?
What differences did you observe in the valuation based on who buys the company? Does this make any sense? Discuss as a group. So if I'm correct, if you go public, you get a lot more money.
Right.
Any of all of them. I mean, you're talking about almost, 2.5 times over the financially, and then, probably almost $190 million more if you go with over strategic.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, in the IPO, like going publicly, the risk is higher. Like it's either you go home or you really kind of fail, because once you try to do it, and then if they realize that you're not big enough and then they don't want to do it, it kind of puts a bad rap on you. So, you're going to hit a home run if you make it to work publicly, but at the same time, the risk is higher.
So you're saying, jumping to the last question, why would anybody sell to a financial buyer instead of an IPO?
I think to avoid risk, right? To just get the money and kind of go.
It's like really clean, low risk, and it's like fast, simple.
Yeah, doing an IPO takes a long process. And if I understand right, when you do, when you go public like that, you actually the company and the total revenue is going to be that. But if I understand right, he's going to lose a lot of his shares, right? So he really probably won't make as much, or am I just reading that wrong?
No, I think you're right.
So I mean, the company's to be worth a lot more if he goes publicly, but I don't think he'll receive as much if he does a public trade or whatever.
Yeah, I think IPOing would be more beneficial if you had a bunch of co-executives as opposed to just one owner.
Yeah, I agree.
If you get one owner, I think it'd be better to just sell it outright.
I think you make the most money. You're free and clear. You don't have to go through the process. I think there's a lot of benefits to doing that.
I agree.
Me too.
So we're saying that the financial buyer is a better option than IPO?
Yes.
What about the strategic investor versus the financial buyer?
Huh?
I wrote down the difference, but I'm trying to remember right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think myself. I think, the financial buyer, I think, I don't remember, dang it.
Well,
I researched the difference too. Let's see.
I just know the strategic buyer will pay more because I don't know if it's like they have a strategy. They're going to come in and perform something different.
So private is talking right in that page on page 9. It talks about sell to a financial sponsor or a strategic buyer. Primary benefit of a competitive private sale process were speed and efficiencies. Private sale could be completed in less than 3 months and would not require as much management time and attention to it as an IPO. The direct cost of the seller would be much smaller than the IPO option, consisting primarily of a few investment banks, so about 1.5%, and a few legal counsels, less than $1 million, for negotiating and reviewing the sale documents. Moreover, in a private sale of the probability, the successful outcome would be far less dependent on the unpredictable performance of the public equity. So again, we've talked about that. It does have, but it's not saying anything about the strategic buyer. And see there.
So this part makes sense to me. It says, or maybe I missed it, but basically that a strategic buyer is able to leverage like other financing abilities to pay higher price than the financial buyer.
Oh, I remember now.
In my mind, it's just like the strategic buyer just has more access to leverage and financing, which they'll be willing to pay more.
Oh, I think so. The way I understood it, and I was talking about someone about this today, actually, a strategic buyer is usually another company that's trying to like eliminate competition or whatnot, and they'll go and so they'll launch themselves vertically because they can acquire.
It'll leverage that.
Exactly, and so they'll use stock options and cash, which allows for a higher price for the one person that's selling. But a financial buyer is interested in the actual cash flow from the company to take it on for themselves. Like they're just going to acquire it. So it's lower, but it's pure cash.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because in this, it talks about the Darden restaurants, those who own Olive Garden, Red Lobster. So it's like what you what you just said is just taking the a mix offer to the table versus just straight out cash.
Exactly.
However, in a strategic buy, if you are smart and you exercise your stock options, you could end up making a lot of money if the strategic buyer's advantage does increase, such as if Darden restaurants bought it and all of a sudden their stocks went up because they took you out of business and increased more revenue. However, you take a bigger risk by doing because of the options. Your shares could be a lot less if the company goes down.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if I'm correct, a strategic buyer is a hybrid between an IPO and then a financial sponsor.
Yeah, kind of, or an alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me just go back. Okay. I think I've got everything. I mean, I'll write this up formally and everything. I think I've got it. I can have it all written up probably in the next half hour, Indiana, when you'll be asleep. So you don't have to worry about it. Wake up tomorrow and you'll have a nice crisp paper in front of you.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's all I need.
All right. So unless anybody else has any other, I don't mean to keep you guys any longer. I appreciate you guys working with me in my time schedule too. So
no problem.
Again, thanks. Appreciate it. I owe you, every one of you.
I think Austin's the one that deserves a big thanks. He's up so late.
Nah, it's good. I was like, this is about the time I'd go to sleep, like after this. So we're good.
Yeah. I didn't see the Dr. Pepper though.
Oh, I haven't drank pop in like 12 years, man. It's been a long time since I've drank soda.
It's been about an hour since I had a soda.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, guys.
Good, man. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I'll send the link and everything. I'll get this all uploaded by tonight. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, and who will take lead next week? Who wants to do that?
I probably won't be around next. Oh wait, no, I will be around next week. It'll be the.
I can do it next Thursday. It's been a while since I've done one.
Okay. Hannah, you want to take the lead? Okay. And yeah, because the following week I'm on business trip, so I got to work out a time where I can like go to scheduled time that we usually meet. I'm going to be on a plane, so we'll talk about it next week. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.